So, Mike, first of all, great to have you back on the show. How's the holiday season with you? Obviously, going to be busy with UFC 219 coming up.
Oh yeah, we're getting busy now. Yeah, we've been busy so far. This is Holly's last hard training week, Carlos Condit's last hard training week. So looking forward to end the year with a bang.
Definitely 100%. I think everyone's looking forward to this fight. One that's been sort of long in the making. I remember, I think the last time we had you on the show 2 years ago, we even were talking about the potential of Holly Holm throwing down against Chris Cyborg. Obviously, it took a lot to get it over the line. I think, both ladies wanted the money, the right price for the fight. You must be very, very happy. You were very excited even about that fight back when we spoke a couple of years ago. What are your thoughts on the fight now that's so close?
You know what? Yeah, the negotiations worked out, pretty good, and so that's it. Holly wanted to fight right away. She never has ever turned down a fight. It's our job, myself and her manager Lenny Fresquez, to make sure she gets paid the money. Because she's in there fighting somebody that nobody else wanted to fight. Cyborg is what she is. She basically is a guy. Holly outskills her everywhere, but Cyborg has that man strength for obvious reasons, and. But Holly's willing to go in there and beat her anyway.
You talked about shocking the world potentially. I look at this fight and I think if there is anyone that's going to beat Chris Cyborg, it is Holly Holm, and I think obviously the speed's going to be a big factor in this fight. But maybe are you guys playing up the underdog role a little bit to get Holly maybe going a little bit because of the Ronda Rousey fighting the way that sort of panned out?
Oh, you know what? Fighting Ronda actually was mentally tough. It was huge. It was all consuming for Holly with the media, etc. But she was the underdog, and that in some weird way takes the pressure off. And same thing with Chris Cyborg. When people expect you to lose, they expect you to run into things. Sometimes you can just throw the kitchen sink at them because you don't have as much to lose in many people's minds. And although she has a lot to lose, and of course I think she's definitely going to win the fight. But I think a little of the pressure is off her and a little more on Cyborg this time.
Why do you think she's the underdog? Is it because has Cyborg maybe faced a level of opposition that Holly's fought? I wouldn't have thought so personally.
Yeah, I don't think she fought that level of opposition Holly's fought, but what she has destroyed most everybody that's been thrown at her. I don't think they've thrown that the highest level talented girls they could find, although many of them were fight quite tough. But I think I had a little losing streak in there for a little bit for many reasons that she just wasn't herself. Misha was just we got caught. There's no excuses. There's no excuses for all of them. Yeah. But back to herself, and like we said, we're excited. We got a game plan. Holly's got some great skills. Holly's better than ever right now, stronger than ever.
Do you think that was a real confidence blow for Holly? Maybe everything came a little bit too quickly. There was obviously huge celebrations, a lot of media, a lot of demands really on Holly after she won that fight against Ronda Rousey.
You know what? She was on top of the world after beat Ronda Rousey, and she has always stayed humble. She's always trained hard as ever, and that's Holly. She lost to Misha Tate. She was in the gym Monday morning after she lost to Misha Tate. Wow. She's that person. She works hard. I've never known anybody work as hard as this girl. She's like I said, she's very humble. She works her ass off, and she's prepared for this fight.
How do you guys feel? Obviously, Chris has brought up things about PEDs. Is that mind games? So, what is the reason, do you think, Chris Cyborg is using that level and going down that road? Is it to get underneath Holly's skin? Is it to get a reaction?
You know what? I don't think it got under Holly. Well, the accusation didn't get under Holly's skin until finally it was just too personal. Finally, Holly said, "Look, here's the deal. I've been busted for it. You've been busted for it. So she needs to basically shut up." She was accusing her gym of it, and she put a list of all the people that she thought had done peds at her gym and been busted. Look, all those names she had listed, none of them worked out at our gym when that stuff happened. Jon Jones is the one that's been accused of it, and that's not even finalized yet. The last time he got busted for something is because he took a Viagra from Mexico, a Cialis. So it's not what people think it is, with Jon Jones. But with Holly Holm, she's as good as they come. I know she was probably the most tested, second most tested person in UFC last year. This year, I think she's been tested one more time than Cyborg. So I don't understand. Maybe she's trying to sell pay-per-view points.
Is that frustrating for Holly, things like that? Or is it maybe a good thing? We saw her get a little bit annoyed with Ronda. Ronda was obviously a little bit more vocal, but it's something I think Holly deal with, and maybe it's something secretly that spurs her on, and something maybe she needs going into a fight.
You know what? I think it worked with Ronda. Ronda was getting in her face. You're talking about a press conference. weighing in type of situations where Ronda's, trying to press with Holly. Holly beat her in those situations. She beat her mentally. She beat her to the flank in essence, and different things. And I think Holly does get motivated when she's pushed that way. She forgets all those distractions and she gets focused.
Do you think, you look at this fight and, I look at the level of opposition. I think it's going to be a real test for Chris Cyborg. As you said, and what I said to you there a few minutes ago, a lot of people are favouring Chris Cyborg going into this fight. But I have to go back again and look at the opposition that Holly's fought. That learning experience against Miesha Tate, being in control of the fight, then ultimately coming up a little bit short. We saw, obviously, the Jeraine Randambi fight where, in my opinion, she probably should have got the fight. Is that crucial experience for Holly going into a fight like this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With Jeraine, it took her a couple rounds to figure out what was going on. Mentally, we had some things behind the scenes, but I thought she won the fight. But the fact that she's won 5 rounds so many times, definitely big-time experience. Chris hasn't gone those waters. So, when he gets those deep waters, if Holly doesn't do something better before that, it's all on Holly's side. Chris she has to cut a lot more weight. And if she's used to taking people out right away, when she's not successful, the bully is just going to be broken.
Do you think the weight's going to cause, is it going to cause a problem for Chris? Is it going to benefit Holly? How do you see the weight issues going into this fight?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it. You have the extra weight, so you have extra strength. But in her case, the person has to cut a tremendous amount of weight, doesn't usually have the conditioning long term. And we kind of can see a little bit of that with Cyborg, with Evinger. Long term, she starts gassing, and she just starts slowing down a little bit. Her pace slows down. So I think I think Chris is going to think about this fight a little bit. She's not going to rush at Holly. She wants to conserve her gas tank, which kind of doesn't play out for her as well. So either way, prepared for whatever she comes to the table with.
The interesting thing as well, obviously, we know about ladies have fought in different disciplines of stand-up. Obviously, Holly with the boxing, Chris with the kickboxing, Holly with the kickboxing. Is Holly more diverse in her skill set here to give Chris problems on the feet?
Oh yeah, Holly has many more skills on feet than Chris. It's funny. Holly's won the world champion of boxing in 3 different weight divisions and just basically beat the crap out of everybody out there. But she's a better kicker than she is a boxer. You can see that in MMA. Look at her knockout record and how many times she hurts people. Girls don't usually do that. Chris Cyborg throws down with some hard punches, but Holly just kicks him and knocks him out. People will see that in the fight that plays out.
Is this fight going to play out a lot? Like, I envisage this when I look at this fight. I see Holly going in with a very, very similar game plan than she did against Ronda Rousey. Stick and move, not go in the pocket. Is that something that she's going to want to do against Chris? Hit and move, get in and out, use her pace.
Well, that's for me to know and for you guys to find out, fight night wise. But she's ready to go everywhere with it. There's times when we definitely want to back up Chris Cyborg. As judges are such, it doesn't matter if you hit them a whole bunch of times. They perceive the person that's walking forward. They're getting beat in the head. The Nick Diaz and Nate Diaz have been geniuses of that through their career. We have felt sometimes with John Dotson and some of our guys that just totally destroy people, but because it's perceived to back up after they counterpunch, we've lost decision. So we're prepared to make sure there's a lot of forward pressure in the fight, pick apart at long range as well as close range. Holly's got some surprises.
What do you look when you see Chris Cyborg, Mike? You see her technique. How do you perceive her technique? Do you think she's a power striker? Obviously, that we know she is, but is she more power than technique?
Oh, definitely power and technique. Oh, absolutely. She's got okay technique. Don't get me wrong. I mean, she's not the widest punch in the world. She's not constant on bombs. She tries with the right hand. Has a little bit of arc in it, but she's got a little bit of technique. But really, what has happened was that she's overwhelmed her opponents. She kind of went in a careless mentality of, I don't care if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you that much harder. And it's played out for her. She's a very strong fighter.
Definitely a fight I think we're very much looking forward to. What do you see a finish when you play this fight out in your mind?
I'm sorry, you cut out. What was that again?
Do you see a finish when you play this fight out in your mind? Do you think Holly is going to have the ability to finish Chris Cyborg within the fight?
You know what? Especially in the late rounds when Chris has failed at trying to hurt Holly, and Holly just keeps picking her apart and breaking her down. It's going to happen. Holly will finish her. You know what? Holly dropped Jeraine with a straight left punch. Yeah. What was it, the 4th or 5th round? I mean, her hands can do it as well as her feet. So, Chris, her defense she's not known for her defense. So there's openings, there's some holes.
What a fight we have in store next week at UFC 219. Just a few more things before I let you go, Coach. I do appreciate the time. Any updates on Jon first? Obviously, the B sample came back negative. Anything you can tell us at the moment?
You know what? No. You know what? He's they have a little bit of information. I'm hoping something early next year will come out. Jon will be back in the game. Like I said, I'm telling you about right now, no one ever believes me. Jon's not the kind of guy that sits around with steroids in his arms. You know, if there was anything tainted because you saw it for everything, it's because, you know, you took something over the counter, someone gave him something to rehab him. He's just a very trusting individual, and it's kind of a shitty place to be in. That there's that a lot of the GNC stores that sell rehab stuff and stuff that the public buys is tainted. You know, it has stuff in it because they're trying to sell it to the public and make it better than. And it's going to come back to haunt those companies when we find out who it was.
Carlos Condit, one of the most exciting guys, I think any fan or media member has watched fight or compete in the UFC over the last number of years. He's returning to the octagon against Neil Magny. How's everything been going for Carlos, training in the build-up for this fight against Neil Magny at UFC 219?
It's going good. Carlos is in tremendous shape. You know what? Carlos is a guy. It's easy to make him throw combinations when he's on. When he decides he wants to win a fight, he turns it on and he becomes the mean guy. He's a killer in that sense. He's always been known for the wars, but he's actually really highly intelligent as what he wants to do in the fight. And, we had the loss to Robbie Lawler, and that put him in a spiral thing mentally. Carlos is back, so I'm real excited about the fight on December 3rd.
Is he hungry? Is he in the right frame of mind? Is he, relishing the challenge of getting back in there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know what? Neil's it's one of those things. They're two big, long guys. They both have long arms. They both have the ability to strike at long range. So it's kind of exciting that way to see how that plays out.
Carlos has always talked about being a world champion. Is this the final push, one last go before maybe he calls it a day, an assault for the title?
You know what? One fight at a time. Carlos was right there. He dropped George St. Pierre, with a head kick, and he had his moment that we failed on a couple other things in that fight. But Carlos is capable of beating anybody in the world. There's no doubt about it. It's just getting focused. But you know what? Can't even talk about the future right now. Yeah. Magny.
Definitely a fight I'm looking forward to. I just have to ask you a couple of more things. Obviously about a lady over this side of the pond as well. Olympic gold medalist and boxer Katie Taylor. She's a world champion here. There's been a little bit of talk in the media here and in Europe that possibly down the line, after this fight for Holly, that Holly might consider going back to boxing to take on Katie Taylor. Would that be something that would interest you guys?
Actually, that would interest me. I would have no problem with Holly in that fight. I'm not sure what interests Holly. She's kind of she's fought everybody in boxing. It was always the next fight was going to be blah blah blah. She beat them all, and she's been out of it for a while. She doesn't seem to have that spark for boxing anymore. She loves kicking people. She loves the takedown now. She loves the takedown. She loves the MMA game, and I think she can be anybody in the world when she's inspired. But she'd have to be inspired to take a fight like that, and then go beat up your girl.
Have you seen Katie Taylor? What's your opinion on Katie Taylor? If you've seen her box.
I saw her early on. I think there's no doubt she's definitely got some skills and stuff. It's been a long time since I studied her. I have to go back and watch and see exactly. But I remember when I watched her, I thought, Holly fighter. I was never really worried about Holly fighting anybody in the boxing world. She got Sophie Matisse from France, caught her because Holly rocked her and went into a war with her instead of staying in the game plan. Holly remastered her focus and just destroyed her. So when Holly's on, she beats anybody.
Is it about the money, as you said, for Holly? If the money was there, would it be something that you think Holly might consider?
No. In Holly's case, she's got enough money. She can retire. It's not the money at all. That's not what she fights. It's all about passion. Money side is actually myself and her manager that make sure she gets paid for all these things, because potentially there's a lot of harm she's there's brain damage, etc. that could happen. Holly's style has been such that she hasn't hit that many times in lifetime, but it's definitely not about money. It's just about being inspired and climbing another mountain. She climbed to the top of the mountain in boxing. And then she looked over and she saw K2 and she thought, I'm going to climb that one in MMA as well. And she reached it, but now she's going to do a second climb.
Definitely. Well, you never know. Dana White's talking about bringing boxing over to Zuffa and the UFC soon. So you never know what we might see with the last number of years, what's gone on. Mike, tell me before I let you go, any plans for Christmas? You going to get a little break in here or there after the fight?
You know what? Yeah, Christmas is right around here next week. Stuff going to spend it with my family. Holly's training camp basically done as of Friday, Saturday, and she slows down. So good time for us Christmas. I can spend some time with my family, and then we get geared up for the fight. And she'll be resting up. So I'm excited about just spending time with my family for Christmas.
Good stuff. Listen, best of luck next week. I do always appreciate you coming on the show and taking the time out to speak with us. I know you're a very busy man. Happy Christmas, New Year, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. Do appreciate it.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks now.